Subject to do with other YouTubers I wanted to broach for a while is history debunked Simon Webb. How, and not his particular views, although he does have, to me, often have sort of suddenly flipped and switched to a very absolute, usually negative view of somebody or something or a particular group. Not necessarily politically incorrect, like it could be about stepfathers, or which is interesting because he himself was educated his own daughter at home and insisted on doing that, but not so much to politics as his writing. He tends to write quite eclectically reference books, but the only fiction he writes, the only creative writing he does, is in the genre of westerns, cowboy stories, adventure stories, which he says he writes simply as if it's any other job. Any other job. That's all writing is. And that to me speaks volumes about what an insensitive, non-emotional, strange sort of product of the media Simon Webb actually is. Even though I often like his views, I often like his knowledge. So westerns are allegories of politics. Doesn't seem to be aware of this, or doesn't seem to ever refer to that. Western films are often to do with a current theme in the world. And to be a writer is not like being a shop fitter, a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, believe it or not. And I do a bit of writing myself, poetry and stories, prose, plays that, or nearly one or two. Often wanted to do songs. But like, as with what all those things have in common when you do these things yourself is you're usually quite embarrassed by them all. Whenever you speak publicly, like he does, like I'm trying to do now, in a sort of making this sort of documentary film, even though it's just of me, like he does, just of him. You leave yourself open to scrutiny. You agonize. You feel embarrassed. Like you're exposed, aren't you? You can feel exposed when you think about writing something. Right? Well, you might not, but the sort of dilemmas a writer has, a creative person, anybody who communicates publicly. Like it's heart and soul. What do we mean heart and soul? There's no heart and soul. It's just a few Western novels that I write like any other job, mechanically. You want to be a mechanical person. That's all you are. You could be a mechanic. It's not like that. A mechanic isn't dealing with ideas, isn't putting themselves into what they're writing about, making their own mark in it. The fact that, almost goes without saying, you write a story, people will know, oh, it's in the style of Simon Webb or countless other authors. There's autobiography in fiction. There's just as there's fiction in autobiography and history, as he likes to tell us. That perhaps you take my point. Like in certain countries, dictatorships, you would be punished for what you write. Well, I mean, anybody can be punished for what they write. I'm not saying that everyone's a fascist, but the more famous you get, the more risky and sinister certain aspects of your life can become for that reason, because people don't agree and might very strongly disagree. Like how do you maintain that sort of that independence of thought, that courage, that belief in what you do? This is not a non-educated working class job.